All right, good morning. It is Tuesday and it is morning coffee. And I got my coffee here and I'm really looking forward to drinking it with you during the show. And I am joined today, these women are very odd, but with Angie Ledbetter coming to us from her bedroom. She is an artist, an author, and a dabbler. Good morning, Angie. How are you in Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, you got your coffee going. And coming to us from her closet in Texas is author, artist, and photographer Kathryn Magendie. Hi, Kate. How you doing?
Morning.
Yeah, you see, I haven't had my coffee yet. I can't even say everybody's names, but I'll take a sip and we'll get started. Today's topic, and amazingly, we have a topic, is on publishing. And the publishing industry has been changing dramatically. And we can see it in our world. We see the loss of some wonderful bookstores. We see the growth of Amazon. And we also see a big division with traditional publishing and independent publishing. And Kat is an author of at least 5 that I can count books that have been traditional published. Let's see, we've got Lightning Charmer, Sweetie, The Graces, that makes 3. Is there anything I'm leaving out for your traditional publishing, Kat?
Uh, let's see. Yeah, no, I think there's a novella that's in a anthology with a few other authors, but it's the great, yeah, that's 5. So that's it. 5.5.
5.5 traditionally published books, and you're working on a new novel that you are considering going indie. And I know that you've been putting up your short stories as an independent on Amazon.
Yeah.
Would you share with us your thoughts on what it's like to be traditional? Let's go with what it's like to be traditionally published. What's the good and what's the not so good?
All right. Well, it used to be traditionally published was the best way to go, the only way to go, because if you indie published, that was the death of your career. It was considered bad. Like your work wasn't any good. You weren't viable as an author. You somehow just gave in, and decided to go at your own because your work isn't good enough. Of course, that wasn't true, but that was the feeling behind indie publishing. And a lot of the indie publishers, you had to pay. So not only were you slapped down by the industry, you also had to pay. So traditional publishing was really the only way to safely do it. And but things changed. Indie authors began to just break out the box and do really well. But I wanted to do the traditional publishing first because I did not want to do it on my own. I didn't want to do my artwork. I didn't want to have to edit it all on my own. I didn't want to have to get out there and market and promo all on my own. And I just wanted the backup of a good publisher. I did choose to go small publishers, mid-small, but because I wanted that feel of not being lost in a crowd of hundreds of authors. But for me, it just meant I somehow made it, I guess. Maybe that's not a correct way of thinking, but that's how I personally thought.
Mm-hmm.
Someone else thought my work was good enough to take it on and take a risk on me, and that's what Bell Bridge Books did. They took a risk on me as an author, and that made me feel like I'd done my job and done it well. So that for me, that's why I did traditional. And then maybe too, indie publishing was just breaking out the box when I first was published. So yeah.
Yeah, and traditional really was the way of, like, if you say I've got a book published, people would always say, oh, did you, they ask, is it traditional? Because it's sort of like that ego thing. If it isn't, then it is no good. So it really was somebody else read your book, liked your book, and took a chance on you. And it served
Right.
the industry well for years and years. Angie, what were your thoughts on either traditional publishing or as Kat was going through the traditional publishing, because you knew her as she was doing some of this work?
I think, yeah, both have it right. For the longest time, for decades and decades, traditional publishing was the only legitimate publishing. Other than that, it was vanity publishing.
Vanity, there's the word.
Yeah,
And
that's the word.
if you didn't publish traditionally, you weren't legitimate, and you certainly weren't literary. So that's how it was until things changed. And when they changed, boy, did they change.
Yeah.
They did. It's like a revolution or an evolution in a sense. And one of the things that I noticed, I interview a lot of authors on the radio shows, and when they went traditional publishing, like I have a author friend who is traditionally published wonderful books about Scottish Highland history, but the publisher would always put these bodice ripper covers on. And, looking at the cover, I would never want the book. And what she said is she had no control over the cover. She was embarrassed by the cover, but it wasn't her decision. So her literary historical fiction had these Fabio bodice ripper booby kind of things that didn't really reflect the story. And then she didn't get to choose the title. And some of the scenes were edited in a way that she didn't want. And that really was the beginning of opening my eyes to a losing control over your art form. And I was wondering if either of you would like to speak to that, the control issue with indie. Maybe Kat, is that common with traditional publishers?
Well, okay, yeah. I did not pick my titles other than the Lightning Charmer, and they loved that title so much, and I have Angie to thank for that because she came up with Lightning Ropers. I just replaced Ropers with Charmers, but all my other titles were retitled by my publishers, and I did not pick the covers either. So that was completely out of my control. In fact, it took me forever to get used to my first book being called Tender Graces. I just could not get used to that title. Even now, I sometimes, wish it was titled something else because since it was a trilogy, all the rest of the titles either had to have Tender or Grace in them. And it made it sound, I don't know, it just did, I felt like it didn't capture what the book was really about, but a lot of people respond really positively to that title. So you have to kind of trust that your publishers know, but you do lose that control. Now, they never edited my scenes. They never made me change anything that I didn't feel, if I felt strongly about something, they would leave it in. And they're Southern publishers, so that helped as well since, my fiction is Appalachian or Southern fiction. So they didn't try, it wasn't somebody in New York not understanding, certain things that I may write. But you do lose a little bit of control, and but to me it was worth it. So I still feel like indie publishing takes its smacks, so I don't have any regrets doing what I did, even losing that control. I have no regrets, and I'm happy with what I did, and I'm happy with Bell Books for how they treated me as an author. They treated me with so much respect. So, but would I like another title? Maybe.
Well, and that's the other thing. We're not here to trash publishers because there are, like I say, for you, it was a great experience. You have 5 wonderful books out. You got a lot of support. You had backup. You had a team. So it's a balance. It's a spectrum. But I have another horror story of sharing with a larger publisher, and this has happened to many of my author friends, more than on the fingers that I would count, and that is you get accepted into a larger publishing house, and then your editor either gets laid off, fired, or goes somewhere else, and you become what they call orphaned. And once you're orphaned, kiss it goodbye, because nobody else wants to pick up a book that they didn't choose. So that's a bad status to be in because you finally get it from the big publishing house, and then you lose your editor, become orphaned, and start again. So, those are the negatives. Kat has given us some of the positives, but let's go to indie publishing. You're thinking, Kat, on your next book you may go indie. I don't know if it's a firm decision or just a thought, but what is bringing you on with that thought?
I just want to see what the deal is. I see a lot of authors doing it, and since, honestly, I already have the 5 books in the novella published traditionally. I've had a great experience with that, and I will, do another book with them if they still love me. But this book that I'm writing now is so weird and discombobulated, and it's so much what I want to do just for me that it's probably going to be a book that I will need to self-publish, just because I don't want to have to worry about writing for the market or worry about writing something that would please my publishers, though they've been very open to anything I've ever written. But this is something that I just want to do for me and me alone, and smack it up on Amazon and just kind of see what happens with it, kind of like I did with my short stories.
And how did you?
It's fun. It's fun to do it because it kind of frees me in a way. But I will caution authors who are indie publishing, please don't, write these books quickly and just slap them up on Amazon, because when people read your books and they're full of, when they're not ready, and they haven't been edited properly, you're going to ruin your career. Just step back and take your time and let someone who's good at editing or whatever look at your books and treat it
use a pen name.
Respect. What is that?
Or at least use a pen name.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
even
so.
jump in here, because that's one of my biggest pet peeves is, sure, you ruin your career. That's your risk. But you ruin it for all other indie authors when you publish unedited crap.
Right.
Because we are trying to raise, I'm an indie author, we are trying to raise the standard. And I have 4 nonfiction books out. I chose to go indie because I don't have the patience to really go through the publishing kind of thing. I know what I want. I was able to do my covers. But all of my books have been edited by professional editors. And I think that's the minimum that we owe it to each other as authors. And I know my brother has got one and he's getting ready to release. Not only does he have line editors, he's got content editors, and if you put the time into editing your book and making it wonderful, it's good for you, but you raise the standard for all of us. So that's really where I think we owe it to the profession to keep the bar high. And one more thing, when I write a review, I write reviews of books I like. If I don't like the book, I figure it's my taste. I'm really not going to slam somebody in a review. But if it's an unedited book, I will make a review on that and just say that this book needs an editor. That's the one time I'll come in with a lower review, because it's just my pet peeve. But anyway, Angie, comments on that kind of thing.
Totally agree. In order for indie publishing to keep having a better and better and better reputation, we all have to be vigilant in what we put out there. Poop out there lowers it, and you don't make any money hardly as it is now. You're going to make even less if people see shoddy work. And it is hard to come back after a mess up, so it's relatively cheap to get an excellent editor for your work, like you would do anything else that you made to sell. You would get opinions, you would get help, you would fix it as best you could before you put it on the market.
Right, and beta readers. I think beta readers is another way that you can do it. Suppose you say, I really can't even afford an editor. Well, first of all, I think you got to kind of scrape it up and get one. But maybe if you had a team of beta readers and allowed them to also give you some, if they see typos or grammar kind of problems, to let you know. So beta readers might be a way, whether you can afford an editor or not.
A trusted writers group also. Kat and I were both in the same writers group, and that's once you establish the trust and you get to know each person's strengths and weaknesses, a writers group can really have good input. Don't even ask your family and friends. They're just going to say, oh, it's great. And it's not.
It's not, yeah.
And I will caution too, not caution, I don't know, but if you are going, to get outside opinions on your books, especially with the writers group, don't start that too early. Get the book mostly written, because what's going to happen, unless you especially with your first book or two, too many opinions muddle the waters, and you end up completely putting, I know someone, Angie Ledbetter, who put her book down, and I'm still waiting for her to finish this wonderful book, because you bring it too early, you take it too early to a writer's group, and you have all these varied opinions and all these people yappity yap, and next thing you know, because I did do this too with my first book, I took it in too early, and it confused me so much, I stuck it in a drawer, metaphorically, and just didn't pick it up for another year or so. So you know, get your confidence in the book. Know what where you're going and what you want to do with this book, and let your instincts guide you, so that when someone says, "I don't like this," you know, you know that's something that has to stay in, or that has to be, or whatever. But I will also say, anytime someone says something about your work, look for some nugget of truth in it. Just have the confidence in your book that you won't be afraid and stick it in a drawer and just think, this is crap, I never want to do this shit again. You know, that can happen. So but I will say, I'm an editor and I'm good at it, and I still have my book edited. I would never send out a book, traditional or indie, that had not been read and edited. And I do have one or two beta readers. Angie's always a beta reader, and I try to pick someone who's not a writer to do it as well, you know, so I can just get an opinion on the story without a writer's input, because, you know, we look at other things besides just the story. So
Well, those are great points, Angie.
I was going to say that is so true. That not just any writers group, it has to be a trusted writers group, and look for 2 or 3 people to say the same thing. Other than that, don't even listen, because you'll have so much conflicting advice that it makes it impossible for you to continue. And Kat's right. I do have a manuscript that I put up, and I'll probably never pick back up, but that's okay. I have other things going on, but it did ruin that for me. But when you're young and dumb, you do stuff like that. It's just part of paying your dues. But the book we did in 2003, look at me like this car salesman. It was a hybrid publisher. It wasn't traditional. It wasn't indie. It was a mix of all of that plus print on demand. And we had total control of our cover and the long title, which no traditional publisher would probably do. Thick, 350 pages, co-authored by 4 women. So in 2003, we were probably on the cutting edge of,
Think at that time.
back then, it was strictly traditional publishing or vanity publishing. So,
No, I think that sounds like cutting edge, and really that was the beginning. That kind of work was the beginning. And one of the things, without sounding like a car salesman here, is that I have a publishing company, Creating Calm Network Publishing Group. But one of the things about publishing companies like mine, and you'll find others, if you're an author and you want to go indie, but you say, I don't know how to upload it, I don't know how to format it, I don't know who my editor should be, I don't know what the cover art, you can get help. So you're not alone. So whether you find just an artist to work with you, or whether you go with companies like my own where you could say, I want help on this, you still keep the control. And that was one of the things we're trying to do with our publishing group, is give the author control and yet guide them when they want to be guided, offer services that they don't want to do themselves. Because an author writes, they don't need to be doing formatting or cover design. So there are other people who can do that for you. So you're not all by yourself in that sense.
And be careful with your covers. You have to go to a place where you find royalty free. You have to pay, because if you go out there and just pull something off the internet for your cover, you can be sued, and you do not want that. My publishers, I learned from my publishers about that, and from my short stories, I found some beautiful watercolor prints that I adore. They cost me a little more, but once they're there for my covers forever. And so that you can find, you go on it, you can find things for little or nothing on there. You can spend as much as you want, but just make sure you do this right. You do your research, and you get it done in a way where you don't have any problems down the road. And I mean, Amazon, there are other places to publish. Amazon is what I did for my short stories, just because it's so simple. I have not my book, I'll be doing my short stories. I'm gonna collect together and put them in a print book as well. So I'll be using CreateSpace, and that'll be a new thing for me to try as well before I get the novel done. So just do your research, be careful, and you know, the pod thing is a wonderful thing, print on demand. Traditional publishers do this as well. So just because you see a book that's pod, print on demand, does not mean it's a crap book. It's the best. It's a good way of doing. You know, why go out and print 10,000 copies of something unless you're Stephen King or someone and you're gonna, you know. But just do your research and be careful and be mindful of your career. So.
And Kat, would you mind saying where you, the internet site where you got your watercolors? Because they are beautiful, and it's one where you purchased. You own the rights to it, so you have. But that was a beautiful. Your watercolors are great for your books.
I went through Dreams Time. There's several of them that I can't even think of them right now, but Dreams Time is where I found those. And the artist, what I did was I picked the same artist for, you know, the whole series of short stories that are coming out. I used them for my alter egos, C.W. Pomp and Tasha Wolf as well, but I used those watercolors. I wish I could remember the artist. I think she was Russian, but I'm not sure. But I loved them so much, I used them for all of the short stories that were coming out. So Dreams Time is one of them, and I wish I could recall the other ones.
That was the name I was looking for because they were so beautiful in that sense. And, you know, Angie, it's great because you can make your own covers when you have the artistic ability.
That's what I was going to tell Kat. She should consider using some of her own photography or a friend's art. My twin sister and a couple of close friends are excellent master artists. So, and I have some pretty decent photographs of my own. So when I get my poetry collection done, I'll probably go that route because my cheap self doesn't want to pay for something from somebody else.
I'm just afraid, like, I have thought about doing that, and my only fear is learning how to set it up where it now on, you know, like if you're just doing Kindle books or whatever, you know, e-readers, you don't have to worry about the pixels and all the other, you know, whatever's as much. But when it comes out in print, you just have to be so careful about the quality of the photo, the size of it, this, that, and the other, and that kind of scares me a little bit. But I have thought about using yours or Elaine's art or photography or my own, you know, and maybe, and that is something I've always had in the back of my mind. So
use your own, and you can get a 12-year-old to show you what size JPEG to use.
Yeah. And CreateSpace does have templates, but I have to admit, I did a book on the sacred art of dog walking, and I thought I had it done right, and then I ordered my test copy, and the dog that I had used, somehow it was just the inside of his ear on the cover. And I looked at it thinking, what? And there's the, you know, like a maze on the inside of a dirty, waxy dog ear, so that one didn't work. But then I learned how to do it better and got the picture right. So, you know, always get a test copy.
Yeah, I would definitely get a test copy, and, you know, but, that's one reason traditional publishers are so nice. They figure all that stuff out for you. You know, and I don't like marketing and promo. I suck at. In fact, just as an example, my short stories just kind of sit there, and I hardly mention them. So they are selling. I did get a little Amazon check, and I was like, woohoo! But I need to be better. Even with traditional publishers, you have to do marketing and promo. You know, you're supposed to, and I'm so bad at it. I hate it so much. And if you put a book out there on indie publishing, you better know how to get out there and hawk it a little bit, or else who's going to know about it? You know, it's selling to your friends and family and a few smattering Facebook friends versus selling, you know, internationally and just, you know, all over the United States, whatever, because of the work that your publishers, marketing people do. So there's so much to think about with indie publishing if you want to make money at it. If you don't care about making money, then go for it and have a good time. So.
Right. Yeah, and you know, Kat is right, is that the promo is there whether you're traditional or whether you're indie, but more so when you're indie, and you need to really either do it yourself, or if it's something you don't like, hire someone who is a social media person or somebody who can really do the marketing for you, because, you know, unless you just want to have a book on your coffee table, you're in it to make money oftentimes too, so you have to learn how to promo, do book events, do book signings, those kind of things. But yeah, I know. No, well, the other part is on commission too. You know, I publish mine through Amazon, so it's kind of nice to get the commission checks or royalties or whatever they call them, but I don't have to share it with anybody but Amazon. So I don't know the cuts, and I don't want to put you on the spot, Kat, with that kind of information. But if you're doing a good job marketing your book and it's a high quality book and it's indie, you can control your commissions because Amazon gives you a commission structure that you can work with, royalty structure. So I view that as a plus, but I don't know how that goes. You know, someone who's done it both ways will have to see when you get your next book out, Kat, unless you have anything to say on it.
No, I don't mind with traditional publishers, and some of them are different, but you can expect to make 8 to 12% or 8 to 10% is usually what it is on 8 to 10% on a print book. So, you know, if one of my books sells on Amazon print book or anywhere else, no matter what it sells for, I only get 8 to 10% of that, the price of that book on a print book. My ebooks, my publishers are generous. I get 40%. So whatever the book sells for, any e-reader out there, I get 40% of that. My if it's a foreign book, like my book is out in Russian of all things, I get 50% of that royalty. So it just it varies with publishers, but that's my publishers. I know Amazon, according to the price, my short stories are only 99 cents, so I only get 35% of that. But anything $2.99 and up, which my novel will be up, you know, I'll get. I think I can get up to 70%. So you know, it's just you don't. It's traditional publishing. You do get a smaller cut, but that's okay. You know, you also get the backup of the publishers. So you just kind of decide what you want and you go from there. You know, and if you're lucky, your book goes viral on you know, whether you traditional or indie publish it, and you just sit back and rake in the cash. So.
Yeah, you know, a book I've been thinking about that just went viral and is Eat, Pray, and Love. And I'm thinking, it was a great book, a wonderful concept, but there are many books like that, but yet it just hit just right, or she had the right amount of magic in it, but that one just took right off and, you know, gave her a whole lot. So who knows what it takes to pop it like that. I don't know. If we all knew, we would be rich, right? We wouldn't be sitting here figuring it out. So I think that's great. Any other comments? You know, the time just sort of got away from us, but Angie, any closing thoughts on publishing?
I think
first of all, get that manuscript out and look at it.
Okay.
It's got some wonderful things in there. I know my brother's got 4 of them tucked in a drawer, and I keep saying, bring them out. No, it was just practice. Bring them out. Look
That's
at
cool.
Yeah.
The only advice I can give everybody is do your research. Find out your best options, and then get expert advice like Ann gives at her company. Find somebody who's got the information and talk to them. Don't try to navigate those crazy muddy waters by yourself without talking to others.
Yeah, great, thanks. And Kat, any last minute advice for people?
Yeah, you know what? Just be true to yourself, have fun, trust your instincts, but be smart, you know, and don't be in a hurry. You have time. You don't have to slap it out there, because you slap it out there and you're going to get slapped back. So be smart about it. Use your brain, because this business is a lot about our emotions and our hearts and our love. So you have to kind of dig down and find your smartness and your patience, and make some really smart, good decisions, not based on, oh, I got to hurry up and do this, because, you know, that's what's going to mess you up. So do your research, like Angie said.
And, you know, it really takes a lot, too, Kat, because you really pour your own self into your work. and
Yeah.
and you know, so I don't know where your ego goes in that, but you know, that's a lot when you put yourself on the line like that.
It is. The arts are a business, I mean, this is a business as well. It's not, it's nothing personal, but it sure is damn personal to us. You can work for years on a book, months, weeks, years, whatever you work on it, you can work on it and never know if you're ever going to make a dime off of it. Now, what kind of job? Who takes a job like that? Who takes a job where they never know if they're ever going to get paid, or they might get paid very, very little for months and months of work, where you
All
put
artists,
everything you have in it. I'm
artists,
sorry, Angie?
artists and musicians.
Artists
Yeah,
and musicians, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And radio hosts sometimes too. But you know, when I had my first book out, and you can see on Amazon who sells it. If there's a squeaking, it's a dachshund behind me. I don't have mice or anything. It's a dachshund. But I could see that somebody returned my ebook for 99 cents, and I thought, who would do that? Give me their name. And then you realize, like, Kat doesn't read her reviews. You just kind of got over it. But for a week, I wanted that person's name who had the nerve to return a 99-cent ebook, you know, like popcorn, you know, I don't know.
No, I never read reviews. Never. My editor gave me that advice right off the bat when I was Now, I know that I have some 5-star reviews. I think I have a 5-star rating or 4.5s or something like. I know that because I've been told, or sometimes somebody will send me a review. But I tell people, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know, good or bad. I don't want to know. So I don't read reviews. I have no idea what if anybody would ever return one of my books, I wouldn't have a clue, and it's better for me that way.
Yeah, I stopped looking too after that when I realized that I couldn't quite pull my ego out of the situation. Anyway, thank you, ladies. It's been wonderful sharing morning coffee with you. And next week, I thought we would do that visual poetry again, because I know, Kat, you responded to that as well. And talk about I guess, the method and the reason and more about it. Like, Angie, you can shine some light on that concept of visual poetry. So I thought that would be a good one for next week. So anyway, writers keep writing, dreamers keep dreaming, reach for the stars and the moon. It's all good. Thank you for being with us, and enjoy your coffee. Take care. And you can always find us at morningcoffee.creatingcalm.network, because we've had other shows, and, some are pretty wild. I won't say more. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.